Welcome to Learn English podcast.
Life in a new country. My first week in Australia, English listening story. Hello everyone. Whether you're just starting to learn English or you're looking to improve your speaking skills, you've come to the right place. Before we start this video, be sure to subscribe to my channel to get daily videos, and I don't want you to miss any of our lessons. Welcome to a new story. This is a story of dreams, courage, and breaking free from expectations. Many people are born into a life full of luxury. But what if that's not what they want? What if they have a different dream? Today, we follow the journey of a young man who had everything: wealth, power, and comfort. But he wasn't happy. He had a dream that his family didn't support, so he made a bold choice to leave everything behind and chase his own destiny. Stay with us till the end, because this story will inspire you to never give up on your dreams. You will also learn how to become fluent in English, just like the main character did. Hello. My name is Leo Garcia. I am 25 years old, and I am from Madrid, Spain. If you look at my life from the outside, you would think I am the luckiest person in the world. My father is one of the richest businessmen in Spain. My family owns luxury hotels, expensive restaurants, and high-end fashion stores. I live in a huge mansion with servants who bring me everything before I even ask. I drive a brand new Ferrari, wear custom-made Italian suits, and own watches that cost more than a normal person's salary for a year. But you know what? I hate this life since I was a child. My parents had already planned my future. They sent me to the best business school and told me, Leo, you will take over the family business. You don't need to worry about anything. You are born rich and you will die rich. But I never wanted this life. I didn't care about money, expensive shoes, or luxury parties. I had a different dream. I wanted to be a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, but a lawyer who fights for justice and truth. In college, my friends always told me, you are so lucky. Leo, you have everything. But inside, I felt empty. What is the point of having everything if you don't have happiness? One night, I gathered the courage to tell my parents the truth. We were sitting in the grand dining hall eating dinner under a chandelier that cost millions. Our dollars. I put down my fork, looked at my father, and said, Father, I don't want to run the business. I want to be a lawyer. There was silence. My mother dropped her spoon. My father stared at me as if I had betrayed him. A lawyer, he said, laughing. Leo, why would you work so hard for a job that pays less than what we make in a day? I tried to explain. Because it's my dream. I want to fight for justice. I want to do something meaningful with my life. But he slammed his hand on the table. No, Leo, you will not waste your life. You will run our business. And that's final. My mother tried to calm him down. But he didn't listen. My father believed that money was everything. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking, will I spend my entire life living someone else's dream? The next day, feeling lost, I walked alone through the streets of Madrid. My feet led me to a small cafe where I sat with my coffee, deep in thought. An old man was sitting at the next table, watching me. He had kind eyes and a wise face. You look troubled, young man, he said. I sighed. I have everything, but I have nothing. My parents want me to take over the business, but I want to be a lawyer. The old man nodded and said something that changed my life forever. In life, you cannot wait for someone to save you, not even your own parents. They will always tell you what they believe is best, but they cannot live your dream for you. If you wait for permission, you will wait forever. His words hit me like a lightning bolt. At that moment, I knew what I had to do. I went home, sat at my desk, and wrote a letter to my parents. I love you, but I cannot live a life that is not mine. I must chase my dream, even if it means leaving everything behind. I left the letter on my father's desk. Then I packed a small suitcase. I had $50,000 in cash for my savings. It was nothing compared to what I was used to, but it was everything I needed to start fresh. I booked a flight to Sydney, Australia. Why Australia? Because to become a lawyer there, you must speak perfect English, and I knew that if I wanted to survive, I had to become the best version of myself. At the airport, as I handed my passport to the officer, I felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. This was it. For the first time in my life, I was making a decision for myself as the plane took off. I looked out the window and whispered, "Goodbye, old life. Hello, new destiny." The plane landed at Sydney Kingsford Smith Airport early in the morning. The moment I stepped out, a warm breeze hit my face. The air smelled different, fresh, salty, and full of possibilities. I had arrived in Australia, a country I had only seen in movies. I felt excited but also terrified. I was in a new country, alone, without my family's support. I had money in my pocket, but I knew it wouldn't last forever. As I walked through the airport, I saw signs in English everywhere: baggage claim, immigration, customs, exit. I could read them, but speaking English was a different challenge at immigration. An officer looked at my passport, purpose of visit. He asked. I froze. I knew the words in my head, but my tongue wouldn't move. I had studied English in Spain, but real-life conversation was much harder. I come for study law, I said, struggling. The officer raised an eyebrow. You mean you are here to study law? I nodded quickly. Yes. Yes, study law. He stamped my passport and waved me through, but I felt embarrassed. If I wanted to be a lawyer in Australia, I needed to speak fluent, confident English. I took a taxi from the airport. The driver was an Australian man, and his accent was fast and strong. Mate, where you heading? He asked. I stared at him, confused. Where I going? I repeated slowly. He laughed. Yeah. Where you going? I showed him the address on my phone as we drove. I looked outside. Sydney was beautiful. Tall buildings, blue skies, and clean streets. People were walking in shorts and t-shirts, very different from Spain, where people dressed more formally. I saw a harbour bridge in the distance and a huge opera house. I had seen it in pictures before, but now it was real. That's the Sydney. Opera house, the driver said. Opera. I repeated, trying to understand. Yeah. Mate. Famous for concerts, theatre, all that stuff. I nodded, feeling excited but lost. I wanted to talk more, but I didn't know enough English. I had booked a cheap Airbnb for my first few weeks. It was a small one-bedroom apartment in a suburb called Newtown. The room was simple. A small bed, a desk, a tiny kitchen, a window with a view of the street. It was nothing like my mansion in Spain, but it was mine. I sat on the bed, feeling both free and scared. I did it. I whispered to myself. I left everything behind. But now came the hardest part. Learning English, finding a job, and becoming a lawyer in a country where no one knew me. The first few weeks were very difficult. I went to a cafe to order coffee, but I couldn't understand what the barista was saying. How I became fluent in English. One night I sat in my apartment and thought, if I don't fix this, I will fail. So I made a strict plan to master English, listening to Australian English every day. I started listening to Australian news, podcasts, and movies. Every morning I played ABC News on my phone. At first, I understood only 30%. But after 2 months, I understood almost everything, speaking with Australians every day. I forced myself to talk to strangers. I started conversations in supermarkets, coffee shops, and parks. I joined an English conversation club where people from different countries practiced English. I made a rule: no speaking Spanish, only English. At first, I made a lot of mistakes. But Australians were kind and patient, reading and writing every day. I read newspapers, law books, and novels. I wrote in a journal every night about my day. Slowly my grammar improved, and I started to think in English instead of Spanish. Shadowing exercise. One of the best techniques I learned was shadowing, repeating what native speakers said. I played an English podcast. I paused after every sentence. I repeated the sentence exactly like the speaker. This helped me sound more natural and confident. After 3 months, my savings were getting low. I needed a job. I walked into a restaurant and asked the manager, "Do you need workers?" He looked at me and said, "Can you carry plates?" "Yes, okay." Trial shift tomorrow. I got my first job as a waiter. At first it was hard. I had to understand food orders, speak to customers, and work fast. Table 5 wants a medium rare steak with a side of chips. I wrote, Table 5, meat, chips. My manager laughed. "Liu, write it properly." But after a few weeks, I improved. This job was my biggest English teacher. Every day I talked to hundreds of people. I learned new words, phrases, and slang. After 6 months, my English was much better. I could have normal conversations, understand legal terms, and feel more confident. One night I looked up law schools in Sydney. To become a lawyer in Australia, I had two. One, pass an English test. IELTS 2. Complete an Australian law course 3. Pass the bar exam. It was a long journey, but I was ready. I applied to Sydney Law School and got accepted. Standing in front of the university, I whispered, "This is my dream, and I will make it real." The day I got accepted into Sydney Law School, I felt like I was on top of the world. I had done it. But the real challenge had just begun. I walked into the huge university building. Students were everywhere, talking, reading books, and typing on laptops. Everyone looked smart, confident, and focused. I sat in my first class, and the professor started speaking. "Today, we will discuss tort law and precedents in common law systems." I froze. I understood the words, but my brain was too slow to process everything. Students round me took notes quickly, but I could only write a few words. I felt stupid. How will I ever survive this? I thought. The first few weeks were very tough. The legal terms were difficult. Professors spoke fast. Other students had better English than me. One night, after a long class, I sat alone in the library. I put my head on the table and almost cried. Maybe I made a mistake. I thought, maybe I should go back to Spain. But then I remembered something. I had already overcome so many obstacles. I had left my rich, comfortable life in Spain. I had worked as a waiter. I had improved my English. I didn't come this far to give up. I told myself, I knew I had to work 10 times harder than other students. So I created a new plan to improve, studying 10 hours a day. I woke up at 5 a.m. and started studying. I read law books slowly and carefully. I wrote down every new word and its meaning. I watched YouTube videos explaining legal topics in simple English, speaking English like a native. I still had a Spanish accent and some people didn't understand me well. So I practiced shadowing for 2 hours every day. I listened to law lectures and repeated every sentence. I spoke in front of a mirror to improve my pronunciation. I recorded my voice and listened to it to find mistakes. After 3 months, my English was much better. 3. Learning from the best. I found the top students in my class and became friends with them. I asked them how they studied. I joined study groups. I practiced debating with them. At first, I lost every debate. But after 6 months, I started winning. One day my professor said, "Next month, you will all participate in a mock trial. You will argue a case in front of a real judge." I felt excited and scared. This was my first chance to prove myself. For weeks, I prepared day and night. I memorized my arguments. I practiced my speaking. Finally, the day came. I stood in the courtroom. My hands were shaking. The judge said, "Mr. Leo, you may begin your argument." I took a deep breath and started speaking. For 10 minutes, I presented my case. I spoke clearly, confidently, and powerfully. When I finished, the judge nodded. "Very well. Argued, Mr. Leo." I felt tears in my eyes. I had done it. I had gone from a boy who couldn't speak English to a law student who argued in front of a real judge. After 4 years of hard work, I passed my final exams. I walked across the stage and received my law degree. As I held my diploma, I thought about my journey, the rich boy who had everything but wasn't happy, the waiter who struggled with English, the student who worked harder than anyone else. Now I was a lawyer in Australia. I had proven to myself that no dream is impossible if you fight for it. If you have a dream, don't wait for someone to support you. Your parents might not understand your dreams. Your friends might think you are crazy. Society might tell you that. You can't do it, but in the end, it's your life. If you work harder than everyone else, you can achieve anything. This is my story. What will yours be? If you have a dream, go after it. Don't wait for a permission. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for someone to help you. Because the truth is, no one will fight for your dream except you. People will doubt you. Some will laugh at you. Even your own family may not believe in you. But your dream is your responsibility. I was just a rich boy from Spain. I had money, cars, and expensive clothes. But I wasn't happy. I left everything to follow my own path. I worked as a waiter, struggled with English, and fought through difficult times, and in the end, I made it. If I can do it, so can you. No dream is too big. No goal is impossible. All you need is courage, hard work, and the belief that you can change your life. So don't waste time waiting. Start now. Your dream is waiting for you, and when you finally achieve it, the world will look at you and say, "How did you do it?" And you will smile and say, "Because I never gave up." Doc, thank you for joining me in today. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming lessons. Keep practicing, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next lesson.